Nigeria's economy is suffering from stagnation, poor governance, and bad economic policy. This has led to a rise of unemployment and inflation during a time when Nigeria's population is booming. Nigeria has potential. It just needs the right economic policies to change that into actual economic growth. In this episode of Economics Simplified, we are going to look at Nigeria's economy, the reasons for its stagnation, how it has dealt with the economic impacts of COVID, and what is in store for Nigeria's future. Nigeria's economy is in trouble, and there is no doubt about that. Everybody in Nigeria, and even the Nigerian leadership, deep down, know that they are in some deep stuff. Nigeria's economy wasn't doing that well to begin with, even without COVID. It was barely growing at around 2%. Unemployment had skyrocketed, doubling from 4% to 8%. Inflation was in the double digits, and pretty much the only thing holding the Nigerian economy from completely collapsing was that sweet, sweet oil. And it still is the only thing holding Nigeria's economy up. That is pretty much the only thing that is going good for the country currently. And I have the numbers to back me up. The Nigerian government makes about $50 billion every year in revenue and spends about $36 billion. And about half of that $50 billion comes from oil. So, the government is getting only 5% of GDP in revenue from the country. That is extraordinarily low, even for a developing middle income country. And COVID has amplified Nigeria's economic problems to 100. So, the Nigerian leadership have decided to form a committee to advise them on how to deal with the economic impacts of COVID. And they have created the plan, the Economic Sustainability Plan. This plan aims to provide jobs for the economy, which has an unemployment rate of 27.2% as of the second quarter of 2020, and provide a cash stimulus to the economy by investing in agriculture, housing, IT, and manufacturing, and a survival fund for small and medium businesses to survive COVID. This is by no means a bad plan. The problem lies in how exactly are they going to do it. And this is the problem with the Nigerian government, no matter which party is leading it. They may have good economic plans, but they are never really implemented. In other words, the devil is in the detail. Let's look at the Vision 2020 plan that was set up by the Nigerian government in 2009. It planned to increase GDP to 900 billion and GDP per capita to $4,000. This plan failed miserably, with Nigeria barely crossing half of the target. And the reason for this was because they never really had a concrete plan on how they would actually achieve this target. For example, the government has decided that each state create their own committees to decide on how their state shall tackle the economic impact of COVID. The problem is that Nigeria does not have Switzerland's bureaucracy. It has Nigeria's bureaucracy. And Nigeria's bureaucracy is extremely slow, like most other developing countries. We only have to look at history to know why this is a problem. The Marshall Plan, a plan to resurrect the corpse of Europe's economy after World War II, was not handled between each and every state in Europe until they all came to a conclusion. No, to speed up the bureaucracy, the World Bank and the IMF were created by the US. We only have to look at history to know why this is a problem. The Marshall Plan, a plan to resurrect the corpse of Europe's economy after World War II, was not handled between each and every state in Europe until they all came to a conclusion. No, to speed up the bureaucracy, the World Bank and the IMF were created by the US. Now, we come to another problem with Nigeria's plan to recover from COVID. 16 out of 36 states are controlled by the opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, and much like in any other developing country, the two opposing parties shall fight each other's policies mindlessly, even if it means that the country's development/recovery goes into the dust. And by giving power to the states to decide their own way to recover each of their local economies, the central government is basically encouraging this situation. Over-ambition is also plaguing the minds of the Nigerian government. And over-ambition combined with a lack of preparation is a dangerous combination. For example, the Nigerian government wants to power 5 million houses by solar. But how they are going to do this with only solar boggles me. The US has been able to plant only 12 million households with solar since 2008. The world's largest economy has planted only 12 million, and Nigeria wants to build 5 million. Another problem is their investment in housing to provide jobs. Again, like any other plan in the scheme, on the surface and by itself, this is a good idea. Okay, so they want to build 300,000 homes, creating 1.8 million jobs. But do they have the base template? Where they want to build a house? Any way to make sure these houses sell? No, I'm sure this plan will succeed. Now let's look at the overall economic situation of Nigeria. Foreign investment has plummeted even less than 2019, which saw 48.5% decrease from 2018. Unemployment is high, and social tension and unrest has skyrocketed. And you can see why I am scared for Nigeria's future. But there are some good things that the Bukhari government has done, such as removing fuel subsidies, which were costing the government billions every year, raising the tariffs on electricity, and stabilizing the exchange rate of the Nigerian naira by making it more market driven. So, what can the Nigerian government do to stimulate the economy? Well, the head of the World Bank's mission to Nigeria has some plans for the Nigerian government. First, his suggestion is to make the exchange rate of naira more market driven. The reasoning for this is that the exchange rate will adjust itself so that when the market exports more, exchange rates go up, and when the markets import more, the exchange rates go down. This will increase the confidence of investors, and overall market forces are just better for the economy than a developing economy's government, with all of its corruption, politics, and ineffectiveness. The second suggestion is to reform the tax system. Nigeria's current tax system is broken. It needs to increase government expenditure by having a more systematic tax system. Also, making sure that people pay their taxes by increasing funding to the bureaucracy that makes sure that people pay their taxes won't be a bad thing as well. This will increase the government's revenue, which is currently at a measly 9% of GDP, and also allow the government to increase government expenditure, which is at 4.9% of GDP. For context, Kenya spends 18.6% of its GDP, almost 4 times higher than Nigeria. Another issue is energy. Energy is the key to development of a developing society. It has a psychological effect on the consumer and the employee. People work longer and are able to spend more since they can go out in the night. His fourth suggestion is to increase direct cash transfers to the poor. And this is extremely important. By 2022, almost half of the Nigerian population will be living in poverty, living on less than $1.9 per day. So, what do I think will happen to Nigeria in the future? Well, to be honest, it doesn't look hopeful, and I have nothing against Nigeria. In fact, Nigeria succeeding is important to improving the image of Africa. Nigeria is the most populated country in Africa, and its inhabitants make up 15% of Africa's population. And I hope we can agree that half of them living in poverty is not good PR for both Nigeria and the whole of Africa. Thanks for watching Economics Simplified. Leave a comment on your thoughts on the Nigerian economy, and you shall be featured in the next video.